Indefinite leave to remain or permanent residency or ILR. Basically, what we are going to cover in this video is your family, your partner, be your husband, be your wife eligible for ILR. So if you're a British citizen or somebody with a permission to live in UK and now married or have a civil partnership with somebody who is living abroad and brought them on either previous dependent visa or your spouse visa, the question is, are they eligible for ILR and what's the requirement for that? Generally, all the visas of the partners and children come under family visa category as per the Home Office. As most of the requirements are same, but there are some subtle differences in terms of applying as a spouse of British citizen, which is a different route as a family visa, and then applying as a previous dependent, like as a partner of somebody who's on a skilled worker visa or maybe talent visa or maybe innovator visa. So there's a subtle difference in terms of different applications. First one goes into family visa, spouse visa. Second one is the point-based system, previous dependent visa. However, most of the common requirements are pretty much similar, so what we are going to talk about is the ILR eligibility and the requirements for the ILR. The video focuses on ILR eligibility for previous dependent visa and less on spouse visa, but requirements are mostly similar. Talking about requirements, you are eligible to apply for ILR at least after 5 years. It's usually from 5 years to 10 years route. So if you are somebody who has come as a dependent of somebody with a skilled worker visa or talent visa or anything like that, so you are eligible to apply for ILR after 5 years of your entry in UK generally. It's pretty much funny, even if your sponsor being your husband or wife, which was currently in UK, came on a 3-year visa, for example, for talent visa, but you will have to spend 5 years for your ILR eligibility. So in any case, 5 years is a minimum. However, for other candidates, maybe 10-year route is eligible for you if you had multiple sort of visas in and out. For example, a student visa, then a spouse visa, and then maybe something else. So you can qualify for 10-year residency as well. But generally talking about previous dependent visa for skilled workers and their dependents, or for talent visa and their dependents, 5 years is the eligible route. Just to highlight, you may not be eligible to apply for ILR at the same time as your husband or wife who has sponsored you in the UK because they might have come earlier than you. Now, in terms of requirements, the biggest one is continuous residence of 5 years. You must be in UK for 5 years at least and must not be absent for 180 days or more in any 12 months rolling period. Of course, there are some exceptions to that rule, for example, a natural disaster or any family emergency, etc. But smart not to exceed those days because you may need to add more evidence, of course, to support your application. Second requirement is your proof of relationship. Basically, you are continuously living together in the UK at least for the last 2 years before applying for ILR. It's exactly the same as what I talked about applying for PPS dependent visa. Basically, you have a genuine and substantial relationship, so you need to prove that again for your ILR application. Thirdly, you must have been living in UK as a dependent for the last 5 years. It's not like you changed visas in between. If you've changed visas in between, for example, from dependent to a skilled worker, you might got a job and they were able to sponsor you. So in that case, you would have restarted your clock, which is unfortunate, but make sure you stay on a dependent visa for 5 years. Don't switch the visas. Next one is our financial requirements. Basically, it's to make sure that you and your partner have enough money to support yourself. I believe it's minimum 29,000 per year as combined income, and if you have children, you need to have more. But generally, if you have the income or if you're self-employed, that should be fine. You can show the savings as well that you have, and it should be fine. The other thing is you haven't accessed any public funds in your 5 years. It's clearly prohibited on this visa, skilled worker visa or the dependent partner visa. It's prohibited to access any public funds. Some other general requirements being like the UK test, you need to pass that test as well before you apply for ILR. I have another video of that I made earlier, how I passed it without any cost, so you can check that out as well. It's in the description. The next one is English proficiency. Basically, if you got the IELTS and passed or some other evidence that proves that you are qualified and you know the English very well, which basically either your academic qualifications accredited here or something like the IELTS certification or OET certification in case of medical professionals. So generally speaking, all these are very basic requirements. If you have been living with your partner in the UK for the last 5 years on the same visa, and if you have decent money, and if you have complied with the continuous residence requirements for the last 5 years, you generally be okay. It's not a complicated process to apply. There may be other documents required by the Home Office. If you have been outside the UK for more than the prescribed period, then you may need to provide more evidence as well, but generally you should be fine. Hopefully this helps. Thank you so much for watching.